Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Matt Colville's Strongholds and Streaming, which has gone over $1 million in funding in Kickstarter. This is an absolutely historical event within the tabletop role-playing game community. Specifically, the reason why is there has never been a streaming product that has been associated with $1 million in funding. This has never happened before, okay? Now, one thing that I really like, and Matt Colville is at the center of all this. He spun this Kickstarter up. He's responsible to deliver product, streaming, and the Stronghold rules, the Stronghold source book. I think the Stronghold source book it's the period at the end of the sentence. It matters very, very little. The real meat of this sandwich is the streaming. I think that's what brought $1 million in funding to Matt Colville. So I think what's really interesting now is this is such a huge, it's a really historical event within the history of the Dungeons and Dragons community. Okay, I think this is driven by the Dungeons and Dragons community specifically. I think absolutely there's some tabletop role-playing game community in here, but the vast majority of this push is coming from players who like to see D&D games streamed and like to and are somewhat interested in this source book, right? So, with all that said, I really like how introspective Matt Colville is, and the reason why I really think it's important that he's thinking very carefully about this is right now Matt Colville stands at a crossroads, and that crossroads is the Gareth Skarka route. Like, you create Far West, and a tabletop role playing game that people are excited about and are looking at and are looking for it to be on their table 4 or 5 years after it was created, or Monty Cook, a guy who mastered successful Kickstarters and now is using successful Kickstarters that fire like a drumbeat to drive and shape all of tabletop role-playing games, right? It's very, he's on a path to one of those, correct? So, and I think it's very clear he understands this, because I read a tweet he did this morning, and he's like, one of the things I found out is that many of the people who have funded Strongholds and Streaming have never done a Kickstarter before. It's their first Kickstarter. That is amazing. That is truly amazing. And he actually, in his tweet, he said, I don't know what this means, but I think it's significant, right? And I was like, wow, that's a man who realizes that an incredible amount of trust has been given to him by the D&D community. And I think he also has a sense of that he is at a turning point. Like, Dungeons and Dragons has very clear points in history. Edition changes, right? OGLs, the death of major creators, right? Promotions and demotions within the Dungeons and Dragons design team. These are all absolutely critical, very, very important historical moments. Well, what Matt Colville has done, in my opinion, what Strongholds and Streaming is an absolute exclamation point. It is an exclamation that streaming is king. Streaming is king. Streaming is how the game grows now. Streaming is how the game is learned now. Streaming is a pillar of the D&D community at this point, right? I think there was debate about that point before. I think, in my opinion, the most dedicated and thoughtful and absolutely masterful voices within the D&D community have been those who have been table players, people who have tables where they're running the game, there isn't a camera running, right? People who have been designing books and are really, and streaming has not been a major part of the lives and the game experience of the major creators for Dungeons and Dragons. Those days are absolutely finished, right? And may never return, right? Streaming is absolutely a strong, important, integral aspect of the game at this point and going forward. And I think, and if you think there's any question that this is true, look at the latest Dungeons and Dragons A-Team game design edition, and you will find there Kate Welch. Kate Welch was hired. She has video game. Her resume is video game design skills and web design skills and visual artist skills. Right. That is clearly, what Wizards of the Coast looking to the future of the game and saying the future of our game is on YouTube. The future of our game is on Twitch, right? And basically, the $1 million Strongholds and streamings absolutely, in my opinion, just slams down the gauntlet and says this discussion is over. Streaming is part of the game, and it is a major, important part of the game. So at this point today, Matt Colville steps forward, and in my opinion, he is the second most important person in the D&D community today in this moment, right? And the reason why is the 1 million backing on Strongholds and streaming. The first is still Kate Welch, who is in my opinion, will be the lead designer on 6E, and the training. You can see how she's being prepared for that position by tweets coming out of Wizards of the Coast from herself and all those surrounding her. I really think that 6E is under works right now, and I really feel that Kate Welch is being prepared to be the lead designer on 6E. But Matt Colville's got a lot to do. He's got a lot to live up to. Thank you very much for watching this. I appreciate it. Take care.